It was a season finale that typified Newcastle's year. So close, yet so far. Rod Wishart's intercept cruelling Waite's farewell and a deserved Knights victory. Following the match, it was a proud coach who, rather than discuss the Really appointment or possible legal action against the club, reflected on his 7 years with the Knights and the position he was leaving them in.
The hundreds of phone calls I've had and faxes of support in relation to what's happened this season is most rewarding. 20,000 people have voted to come there every week or every second week and watch their football team play. It's because we played very, very well, I'd like to believe.
Waite says the young local talent at the club, such as the Johns brothers who starred once again last night, leave Newcastle with a strong future. As for his own destiny, Waite is hoping to stay in the game.
In fact, when I look at this club over the last 3 years, it enthuses me about what I'm capable of achieving, so I've got no reasons to slink off into the deep dark forest and hide.
Meantime, incoming coach Mal really has shocked the English Rugby League public, resigning as coach of Great Britain. His announcement has thrown Great Britain's Ashes campaign into disarray, with the Kangaroo Tour only 5 weeks away.
"36 people died on the Hunters roads in the first 6 months of this year. A Port Macquarie mother and her 11-year-old daughter became part of those statistics after this crash at Minmai, west of Wallsend. What has disturbed the region's police is that the number of road victims is 9 more than for the same period last year. The number of passengers killed has more than doubled, from 5 to 12. There have also been 10 pedestrians killed, mostly elderly citizens. Highway Patrol commanders this week agreed to an aggressive series of campaigns to reduce the toll.
They intend to do more things about it by having more stationary RBT and mobile breath testing, along with the fact of the slant camera and this slant radar itself.
Executives in this country, the salaries that they pull, the lifestyle that they have, and part of that is paid for. I don't want to go right through this ships. You may be interested in those things that you see that are relevant to what
every month just to run their base. And if we do this, I can't see the income of the patrol getting anywhere near paying these expenses. So therefore, if
It was about 8:15 this morning when the two cars, one towing a caravan, collided at Gurley, 30 kilometres south of Moree. Police say it appears one car veered to the wrong side of the road, colliding head-on with the other. The occupants all suffered injuries and were taken to Moree Hospital, where they are reported to be in a stable condition. Police say the accident happened on a straight stretch of road. The cause has not yet been determined. Investigations are continuing. Amanda Bolger, NBN News.
It was a scoreless first half as both sides stood their defensive ground. Brothers were the first to break through. 8 minutes into the second half, lock Brad Lofts dummied successfully to keep the Cougars at bay. A one-handed pass from winger Brett Rankin sent Latter over the line. Casino's defence seemed to crumble, unable to catch Dean Skinner. Lofts wreaked havoc twice, breaking through the Cougars' defensive barrier. Andrew King sealing a crushing 26-0 victory for the Rams in the corner. Meanwhile, Ballina was unhappy after the Rebels' first try, claiming Mark Laurie got a hand to the ball before offloading to Darren Curry. Good passing kept the ball alive for Scott Bly to cross the line. Calling up skills from that other game some call football, Brad Mansfield put the Seagulls in front. The Rebels fought back, scoring 2 tries before an enraptured home crowd. The second half saw action of another kind. Bruised and trailing by 4 points, Mark Laurie dealt Ballina another blow. The Seagulls came back with 3 more tries, leaving a 2-point cliffhanger margin, but 5/8 Michael Randall charged through the Blues lineup to hand South Grafton a 36-32 victory. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
There is no prouder Australian or mum than Brenda Henderson.
I woke up very early and I couldn't sleep, so I put the TV on and I've been watching it since 6 o'clock this morning, so it's been very exciting.
Brenda's son, 23-year-old Paul Henderson, was the 3rd runner in the Aussie team of the 4x100 relay. The Australians running in for the silver behind the Canadians who broke the game's record.
Here he goes, go Paul! Is that great?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh.
Paul's sister Alicia admits to having the usual rivalry with her brother, but she's on top of the world with the run.
Well, we get on all right, but I'm really proud of him, yeah.
Brenda's Waratah flat is a treasure trove of Paul's medals and trophies. She can't wait to welcome him home next month. The word is there's going to be one big party. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It almost turned into a costly nightmare, with bottom-placed Hobart outscoring the Falcons 24-8 in the final stages of Saturday night's match, sending the game into extra time. At training this morning, coach Tom Wisman offered no excuses for the lapse, but was pleased with the Falcons' winning reply.
And the pleasing aspect on the positive side is that when they were playing tough and when they had that momentum, we were able to find something extra and come back and turn the tide.
The man responsible for the turnaround was Derek Rucker. He hit 13 points in the extra 5 minutes, finishing with a match-high 41, keeping the Falcons on target for the playoffs.
He owned the overtime period like no player I had seen own a period of play yet this year in Australia.
Back on court today, the Falcons were preparing for the Adelaide-Perth Doomsday Double, with only North Melbourne having completed the trip victorious this season. Terry Dozier, suffering from soreness, and Paul Kuiper, a sprained ankle, didn't train, but are expected to be right for the trip to Adelaide on Thursday.
Mayor John Kilpatrick unveiled the book this morning at Charlestown Square. This is Lake Macquarie is a tribute to everything that Lake Macquarie is. There's the beaches, the mountains, and of course the lake. With photography by Leo Meyer, the book captures the city at its best.
The photos in it are beautiful, they really are, and we hope that it'll be a way of lifting pride in Lake Macquarie, promoting the area for tourist development. Let people know exactly what does exist in Lake Macquarie.
The book is available from most libraries and bookstores.
Coded Operation Shell Shock Curry's plans to demoralise Toronto in the first half of the grand final paid dividends. The Bulldogs triumphed due to an 18-0 first half lead.
Shell Shock, that was the talk all week, and then today it was history.
And Shell Shock continued last night as the team and their fans crammed into the Curry Workers Club to savour the victory. The Curry team, including 4 sets of brothers, were paraded for most of the night, all heroes, but there were none bigger than Captain Coach Steve Linnane, who believes this season's victory surpasses last year's.
We've struggled with injuries for the majority of the season, and we struggled to make third spot, and all of a sudden we find ourselves premiers, through sheer guts.
Having not won a premiership in 48 years, Curry have now won 2. These people believe they can make it 3 next year.
You're on a roll, they want more. You can't keep them happy, can you? So if we can turn around and do that, well, all well and good. But we're happy with 2 at the moment, and we'll worry about 3 next year, I think.
Meantime, in Group 21 Rugby League, Scone down Singleton, while on the Central Coast, Yamina trounced the entrance.
It was March last year when Cessnock High School principal Clive Hughes first approached Council and the RTA with a request for a 40-kilometre zone outside the 2 schools on Aberdare Road.
Since then, we have seen no action or no communication to indicate that something will be done.
Parents say there have been 3 serious accidents and dozens of near misses outside the primary school since the beginning of the year. There have been several more close shaves at the high school just 400 metres up the road. Gail Sarkisiris' son was hit by a slow-moving car in June, lucky to escape shaken and bruised.
He ended up on the bonnet of a car. He was lucky. He just got grazes and bruising, but it was scary.
It's very dangerous because of the large amount of trucks that come down Aberdare Road, especially if it's in greasy conditions.
What parents can't understand is that just 5 kilometres down the road, Kersley Primary School has a 40k zone, while their school doesn't. A spokesman for Council this afternoon said it did not have the authority to rezone the road. The RTA has yet to respond to NBN's questions. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
Maitland City Council turned 50 today and the local authority celebrated ceremoniously. On June 30th, 1944, Morpeth, East and West Maitland plus the Shire of Bulwarra amalgamated and the municipality of Maitland was proclaimed. In this local government week, Mayor Bob G outlined how council developed during its 50-year existence. In a reflection of the importance of the milestone, the city's former town crier, Lloyd Gregory, came out of retirement for the occasion.
Mayor Ralph Metcalfe and senior council staff handed over the kit this afternoon.
There is a general move now towards understanding local government and what it's about. Local government itself is the grassroots of either the three levels of government.
It will be distributed to all schools in the area and has been developed for both junior and senior students. It contains an overview of Australia's three levels of government and a detailed look at council itself.
It looks at its organisation, it discusses the decision-making process that is in place in this council, and finally it wouldn't be complete without looking at how much it costs to deliver all the services, the range of services to the community, and contains a discussion of where the money comes from.
The kit will be used as a resource for local government studies and includes project work for both students and teachers.
The blaze took hold so quickly, volunteer bush firefighters could do little but watch as two-storey high flames consumed the wooden post office and residence just after 6:30.
We thought no way we could save the post office, so people started worrying about houses, surrounding houses and property.
Firefighters and dozens of volunteers worked through the night to stop the fire spreading, their efforts hampered because there was no pressure in the water mains. By morning, the extent of the destruction was clear, the 100-year-old building destroyed. But it could have been worse. Firefighters say the help of farmers from the district was invaluable.
We had to call a fire brigade unit in from Walgett, as well as three private tankers from Collie Farms and Iffley. Without their help, things might have been a bit different.
Physical evidence police from Dubbo are investigating the matter. The cause has yet to be determined. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
It's emerging as a battle of wills between developer Greg Moylan and Lake Macquarie Council. Round one, when Mr Moylan cleared 200 trees at Cam's Wharf without council approval, is still being fought out in the courts. Now round two looks destined to follow. During an inspection, councillors discovered this area of 100 square metres on the Caves beach side of the development had been cleared without approval. Councillor Jill Hall believes council must again take definite action.
On Monday night, I will be seeking that council prosecute the person that's responsible for the clearing of this land.
Developer Greg Moylan says he's not concerned by Councillor Hall's threat of legal action. He says the site that was cleared is relatively insignificant and council approval wasn't required. So should you have gotten development approval for that?
No, there's no... If I was to get development approval for that, then you would need development approval to mow your front lawn. It's in the same category.
Mr Moylan is also at odds with council over his company's encroachment on a strip of coastal land zoned for environmental protection. While he has council approval, Councillor Hall believes the matter should go to an independent body such as the ICAC to sort out.
It's nothing more than political grandstanding. We know that she's after as much exposure as she can get to assist her progress into the state seat of Swansea, and there's no question in my mind that this is the game that she's playing.
Jodie McKay, NBN News. For eyes now accustomed to seeing hungry cattle and parched land, it was something to behold. A convoy of 21 trucks loaded with fodder donated by Victorian dairy farmers rolled into Texas, Queensland about 1 o'clock this afternoon. But while farmers accepted the gift gratefully, each was aware it's only a temporary respite.
The gesture of the people giving it means more than the ton of hay does.
I'll keep the stock going for a few days.
Well, I've run out and I've got starving stock from now on.
For farmers starved of income, feeding their stock fodder is an expensive business. A bale of hay costs around $270. All the truckies donated their time and Shell donated the diesel for the epic journey. Today's gift will be doled out among 250 producers in Inglewood and neighbouring shires.
We're covering about 70 mile along both sides of the river in Queensland and New South Wales, and probably out about 30 miles from that.
More fodder delayed by the train derailment will arrive in Texas tomorrow. Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
This graffiti writer crossed the thin blue line and was apprehended by police. While many of these people have first-hand knowledge of the world of graffiti writing, this is just part of a new play called Writing on the Wall. Brian Joyce was asked to write the play by Newcastle City Council.
I think the quote-unquote was, can you find a creative solution rather than a punitive solution to the graffiti situation in Newcastle?
Joyce wanted to create a forum for discussion. 2 real police officers are cast in the play.
Well, the police are learning to understand what these people are doing, and we can work with them to help them understand the legal part or legal side of graffiti.
Shane Kennedy, who describes himself as a professional aerosol artist, also has a role in the play.
What we want more or less in the long run is a place where we can legally do our art form and more or less express ourselves.
Councillors, business owners and the audience can also role play to try to find a solution to what some call art and others call vandalism. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
University students have been lobbying for 2.5 years to have a railway station near the Newcastle campus. The latest hurdle over disabled facilities was overcome late yesterday when Transport Minister Bruce Baird announced that the new station would have wheelchair access. While students welcome Mr Baird's announcement of wheelchair access for the station, they say they are still concerned that as yet no date has been set for work to begin on this site.
We haven't actually sent a message through to Bruce Baird to talk about a construction timetable, but that's what we're lobbying for now, so that it can be set in concrete.
With police officers watching on, university students held a protest picnic this afternoon in an effort to highlight what they say are continued delays to the proposal. Joining in were Labor politicians of the region, John Price, Bob Horne and Tony Keating. The students believe that by bringing attention to the issue in the run-up to the state election, they will get the commitments they are seeking. This afternoon, Minister Baird's office indicated work on the site would begin by December, with the station open by this time next year. Jodie McKay, NBN News. Seven-year-old Caitlin Weir has cerebral palsy. Her muscles don't function properly, but her mind is as alert as any other. Since she was old enough, Caitlin has used a manual wheelchair, but someone has always had to be there to push her around. Today, Caitlin received the gift of freedom, a new motorised chair. Caitlin took to the controls like a pro, even trying to run her little brother down as she motored around the park.
She's just starting to realise, I think, of her disability, and it's very important that she can, interact with the other children and be independent.
The $6,000 wheelchair was a gift from the Rickshaw Hot Rod Car Club, which raised the money at their recent custom car show.
Look at her face. That pays it for us, doesn't it?
And also today, another cheque for the Hunters Westpac Rescue helicopter. The $4,000 proceeds were handed over by Police Chief Superintendent Heinz Moller. The money was raised at a ball held by police in the district. It will go towards fitting out the region's second helicopter. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
It's been a major planning exercise for years, but is only now beginning to take shape. To smooth that process, the Council is about to appoint a project manager, advertising nationally for the right person.
To do the things that seem to be peripheral to the main game, but are essential if the estate is going to be a good place for people to live in.
Part of this process is applying to the Planning Minister for rezoning of this area, now known as Fletcher, from rural to residential. And that's what's just happened. 300 hectares straddling Minmai Road, some owned by Landcom but involving several private developers as well, can now be subdivided into 3,300 building blocks, eventually housing 9,500 people. A community committee will be appointed to address concerns about infrastructure like shopping and transport facilities and the other usual services.
The extras, the add-ons, are not just the bare essentials of houses and roads and sewerage and electricity. I mean, we've got those things sorted out, but they're not livable places until you've got, the extra things like open space that is usable and bus services that are adequate, shops that are there, etc.
The final stage of the project, 125 hectares further west, capable of housing another 4,200 people, is yet to be rezoned. So by 2010, the entire area from Maryland to Minmai will be home to 20,000 people. It shows up as part of a fossil skeleton in 2 sections, and while scientists can easily determine just how old it is, 240 million years, saying what the metre-long salamander-like creature was is a different matter.
Well, it's a bit uncertain. It could be one of 2 things. Either a labyrinthodont, an amphibian, a primitive amphibian, closely related to these fish, or it could be a little higher up the tree and it could be a reptile.
Its home for the next 6 months at least will be the foyer of the Newcastle Regional Museum, right beside a fossil tree from the same Permian period. Geologist Bruce Ross found the animal fossil last June in the rock roof of the West Wallsend Colliery in an ancient lakebed deposit.
You don't always find things in these nodules, but I thought that looked like an interesting nodule, so I picked it out and split it open.
Acidic reactions caused the mud surrounding the freshly dead animal and the carcass itself to change in chemical composition, leaving what we have today. Scientific investigation will continue in the hope of finding out just what's involved in this significant find from a time so long ago.
Warren Hearn and Craig Best were among a team of jet skiers that last year rode from the Gold Coast to Toukley. Never before had the craft been seen as a vehicle capable of marathon journeys. Now the pair is riding again, this time 4 times the distance, from Cairns to Sydney.
No, everyone says we can't do it. We're determined to do it. We can do it. Last year I thought it was going to be hard for us. We did it easily. We're well prepared. We train every second afternoon, all weekend, every weekend.
They'll make 41 stops in the 17-day journey later this month, rattling a can to raise money for children's hospitals as they go. But if one were to ask why such an unusual method of fundraising, they'd say it's just good fun.
I used to do a lot of motocrossing and Duro riding, and it's the same thing. You just have to, if you have the mental stamina, you ride. It's a physical thing, helps a lot, but the most important thing is the mental stamina.